Imagine your sister-in-law telling your mom she deserved to lose a baby, and then having the audacity to be shocked when nobody shows up to her party. Welcome to today's episode of Consequences Meet Actions. So here's the tea. About 5 years ago, OP's brother married Ruby, and everything seemed fine at first. Bridal party vibes, everyone getting along. But then Ruby and the brothers started trying for kids and hit a wall with infertility. That's when things got dark. When OP's older sister got pregnant, Ruby went full villain, snapping, being cruel. And when that baby was born, Ruby sent nothing, radio silence, cold as ice. Then OP herself got pregnant during her senior year of college. It was unplanned, an oops baby, and she only told her mom because she was still figuring things out. But grandma cracked a joke at a family event about her not drinking, and boom, secrets out. Ruby lost it. We're talking a full meltdown. She screamed at OP, said she didn't deserve a kid, called her a bunch of names, and here's the absolute nuclear moment. She turned to OP's mom and told her, quote, she deserved the stillbirth she had. Let that sink in. She weaponized a mother's worst trauma because she was mad about someone else's pregnancy. Even after OP gave birth and posted pictures online, Ruby made a passive-aggressive post saying some people don't deserve kids. And to this day, not a single apology. Fast forward to now, Ruby's pregnant and throwing a baby shower. All the women in the family got invites. OP talked to her mom and they both decided, nope, not going. And here's where it gets spicy. Everyone else followed suit. The whole family RSVP, no. The brother calls OP in a panic, begging her to come, saying Ruby's crying because she feels hated by the family. And OP hit him with the truth. That's her fault. But let's pump the brakes for a second. Could OP be in the wrong here? Is she being too harsh? Maybe Ruby was just completely overwhelmed by infertility and lashed out in a moment of pain, right? But here's the thing. Pain doesn't give you a free pass to destroy people. Plenty of people struggle with infertility and don't tell grieving mothers they deserve to bury their child. Ruby didn't just lose her cool once. She was mean to the older sister, cruel to OP, vicious to their mom. She made social media digs, and she never apologized. Not once. So yeah, OP has every right to protect her peace. Now let's talk about Ruby for a second. What's really going on in her head? This isn't just jealousy, it's full-blown resentment mixed with entitlement. Ruby probably internalized her infertility as some cosmic injustice, and when she saw other women, quote, accidentally getting what she desperately wanted, it shattered her. But instead of therapy or healthy coping, she made everyone else the enemy. And now that she finally got pregnant, she expects instant forgiveness, like her pregnancy erased all the damage. Spoiler alert, it didn't. And this brings us to a bigger issue. The idea that someone else's struggle justifies their cruelty. We see this all the time. Someone's going through something hard, so we're told to excuse their bad behavior, to be the bigger person, to let it slide. But here's the truth. You can acknowledge someone's pain and hold them accountable. Ruby's infertility was real. Her grief was valid. But that doesn't mean OP's family has to show up and celebrate her after she told them they were unworthy, undeserving, and in the mom's case, that she deserved unimaginable loss. All right, time to check the comments because Reddit did not hold back. The top comment is simple and devastating. She told your mom she deserved a stillbirth and said you didn't deserve your child. She can cry about family support all she wants, but you don't owe her your presence. And honestly, end of discussion. But then someone tried to play devil's advocate and said, Ruby probably just needs therapy and a sincere apology could fix this. And the replies torched that take. One user said, telling OP she didn't deserve a baby is losing composure. Telling OP, mom, she deserved a stillbirth is cruelty. There's no coming back from that. Another person shared their own story of losing a baby at the same time as a coworker. If anyone told me I deserved that, the only thing keeping me out of jail would be my living kids who still need me. Like the collective rage was real. Someone else pointed out that Ruby hasn't even tried to apologize. She's just crying to the brother that everyone hates her and expecting them to fix it by showing up. That's not remorse. That's manipulation. So here's my final verdict. OP is absolutely not the a-hole. Ruby burned those bridges herself, doused them in gasoline, lit the match, and then acted shocked when nobody wanted to swim across the ashes to bring her gifts. If Ruby genuinely wanted to make amends, she'd be on her knees apologizing to OP's mom first, then OP, then the older sister. She'd own what she said, acknowledge the harm, and give them years to heal, not weeks before a baby shower. But let's be real. Ruby doesn't want reconciliation. She wants an audience. She wants validation. And she's using her brother as a flying monkey to guilt trip the family into showing up so she doesn't look bad in front of her friends. Well, tough luck. You don't get a village when you spent years telling people they didn't deserve their kids. If I were OP, I'd send the brother one text and one text only. Your wife told our mother she deserved to bury her child. She told me I didn't deserve mine. She has never apologized. I will not celebrate someone who celebrated our pain. If she wants a relationship with this family, she needs to do the work, not me. This conversation is over. Then mute him. And honestly, I hope Ruby reads this post and realizes what she's lost. Because that baby she's about to have, it's going to grow up without aunts, without cousins, without a grandmother. Not because the family is cruel, but because Ruby chose cruelty first. So what would you do? Would you go to keep the peace? Would you demand an apology first? Or would you cut them off completely and protect your energy? Drop your thoughts below and smash that subscribe button because we've got way more chaos coming your way. Imagine your best friend calling you up like, hey, listen to this insane story I just read online. That's the energy we need right now. So buckle up because this one is absolutely wild. A 24-year-old woman just posted on Reddit asking if she's the a-hole for quote unquote accidentally telling her parents about her younger sister's pregnancy because, and I'm quoting here, she was tired of keeping the secret. Already alarm bells are ringing, right? Like accidentally. In quotation marks? Girl, we all know that wasn't an accident. Here's the tea. 2 months ago, her 21-year-old sister drops a bomb. She's pregnant, it wasn't planned, and she's absolutely terrified of how their quote traditional and judgmental parents are going to react. She makes OP promise, like full promise, not to tell anyone until she's ready. OP agrees, but she says she was hesitant about it from the start. Now, the sister still lives at home with the parents. OP visits pretty often, and every single time she's over there, her mom is dropping hints. Your sister's been moody, she's gaining weight, do you know what's going on? And every time, OP has to play dumb and pretend she has no idea. She says she started getting tired of this quickly. But here's where it gets messy. OP says she also felt, quote, weirdly left out of everything. The sister wasn't giving her updates, just expecting her to cover constantly, and OP felt used. She's out here lying to keep her sister's cover, but she has no idea what's actually going on, and that's bothering her. Fast forward to last weekend. Mom asks her point blank, "Is your sister pregnant?" And OP hesitates and then says, quote, "I think you should talk to her." Which, let's be real, is basically a flashing neon sign that says, yes, she is. Mom immediately confronts the sister. It turns into a huge blow-up fight. The sister is furious, says OP betrayed her and stole her chance to tell them on her own terms. OP fires back saying she didn't technically say she was pregnant, she just didn't deny it, and honestly, she was tired of carrying the secret around their parents. The sister says OP made it about her because she was uncomfortable for a few weeks, while the sister is dealing with something life-changing. Now the sister won't even answer OP. S-texts. OP feels guilty because she did promise, but also feels like she shouldn't have been put in that position in the first place. Okay, let's put OP under the microscope for a second. She keeps saying she felt left out, she felt used, she wasn't getting updates. But like, ma'am, this isn't your pregnancy. Why do you need play-by-play updates? The sister is probably scared, confused, maybe in denial, and you're over here upset because she's not keeping you in the loop. That's giving main character energy when you're supposed to be the supporting cast. And then there's this little detail she drops at the beginning. They have a quote competitive sibling dynamic. Why even mention that unless it's relevant? Makes you wonder if part of OP was just itching to let this slip because she was annoyed her sister put her in this situation. But let's talk about the sister for a second. She's living at home with the parents, gaining weight, being moody. and she thinks she can just hide a whole pregnancy indefinitely? Like, sis, what was the game plan here? Wait until the baby crowns? Mom already knows. She's been asking for weeks. At a certain point, you can't just bury your head in the sand and expect everyone else to be your human shield. And expecting OP to lie to her face over and over again for months with no end in sight, that's honestly not fair either. So here's where we zoom out and talk about the bigger picture. This is a textbook case of weaponized secrecy. When someone dumps a massive secret on you and then ghosts you, but still expects you to lie and cover for them, that's not trust. That's a trap. Keeping a secret is one thing. Being someone's full-time alibi with zero communication, that's emotional labor you didn't sign up for, and it's exhausting. A lot of people in the comments are saying OP should have just said, "I don't know," when her mom asked. But here's the thing. When you're put on the spot like that by your own mother, who clearly already knows the truth, it's not that simple. Some people are terrible liars. Some people crack under pressure. And honestly, why should OP have to lie to her mother's face to protect a secret that was going to come out in like 2 weeks anyway, when the sister starts really showing? All right, now let's head into the comments, because Reddit did not hold back. This was basically a boxing match between Team You're the A-hole and Team Not the A-hole, and both sides came out swinging. Let me hit you with the wildest hot take I saw. One commenter said, quote, "YTA, I'm just a believer that if somebody asks you to be quiet about something and keep their secret, you do it, unless that secret is something awful or threatening to somebody else. Your mom had her suspicions, but you should give people the right to speak for themselves on their own terms. You could have simply just said, I don't know. You know what you were doing when you said, I think you should talk to her, LOL." And honestly, I was ready to agree with that take until I saw the rebuttal. Somebody came in hot and said, quote, "Promising to keep a secret isn't the same thing as promising to lie to cover something up. NTA, there's lots of emotions/stress about this pregnancy, and I'm sure it's just being directed at OP. But OP, you did nothing wrong. You did not tell your mom she was pregnant. Your mom already thought she was because your sister's behavior suggested it. You didn't give it away. She did." And the crowd went wild. That comment got thousands of upvotes because it's true. The mom was already suspicious. The sister lives with her. You can't hide a pregnancy from someone you live with forever. The jig was up. Another savage commenter said, quote, "2 months is too long to keep it going under those circumstances. If you had told your mom no, she probably would have known you were directly lying, and that wouldn't do anyone any good. So I have to say, NAH, I understand why your sister is mad, but it's kind of on her. She failed to figure out an effective plan in a reasonable amount of time before it would be obvious. Drag her." But then someone else came in and said, quote, "She needed someone she could trust to confide in, and she made a mistake in choosing you to be that person. Who the F cares if you felt left out of everything? It's not your pregnancy. YTA." Ouch. That one stung. Here's my final verdict. I think OP is technically the a-hole, but barely. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, she's maybe a 3. Was it a betrayal? Yes. Should she have handled it differently? Absolutely. She should have gone to her sister weeks ago and said, "Hey, mom is on to us. You need to tell her by this date or I'm going to crack." That would have been the right move. But did the sister also put OP in an impossible position by living with their parents, visibly pregnant, and expecting OP to be her eternal cover story with zero communication? Also, yes. The real a-hole here? The mom. She knew. She knew. And instead of going directly to her daughter and having an honest conversation, she kept harassing OP, trying to get her to crack. That's manipulative. That's triangulation. And it worked. So here's what OP should do. If I were drafting the text message she needs to send her sister right now, it would go something like this. "I'm sorry. I should have told you I couldn't keep lying for you instead of cracking under pressure. I know I broke your trust, and I own that. But I also need you to understand that I was put in an impossible situation, and I'm not built to lie to mom's face for months on end. I hope one day you can forgive me, but I also hope you understand that keeping this secret was never going to work long term. I love you, and I'm here if you need me." That's the high road. But if she wants to choose violence, the text would say, Mom already knew. You live with her. You're showing. I kept your secret as long as I could, but you can't expect me to be your human shield forever when you won't even keep me in the loop. Next time, don't put me in the middle of your mess. But real talk, what would you do in this situation? If your sibling told you they were pregnant, made you promise not to tell your parents, and then your mom looked you dead in the eye and asked you point blank, could you lie? Would you lie? Or would you crack like OP did? Drop your answer in the comments and don't forget to subscribe because we've got way more messy family drama coming your way. Imagine coming home from a great night out with friends, only to walk into your own house and get lectured like you're a teenager who just broke curfew. Except you're 41 years old, married, and the person fuming at you is your mother-in-law, who was never even asked to babysit in the first place. So here's what went down. OP, a 41-year-old dad, and his 42-year-old wife planned a day trip, hiking with friends, dinner after, the works. They've got a 16-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter, both of whom are more than capable of staying home alone. They've done it plenty of times before. But OP wanted to make sure the kids had a decent dinner, so he called his mother-in-law and asked if she'd mind dropping off some food for them. Just a quick favor. Nothing more. They even told her multiple times she's welcome to hang out and watch TV if she wants, since she doesn't have internet at her place, but she absolutely does not have to stay. Fast forward to 3 a.m. OP and his wife roll up to their house after an amazing night. Dinner turned into hanging out at their friend's place, time flew, and before they knew it, it's stupid late. No big deal, right? The kids knew they'd be out late. The 12-year-old's already asleep, the 16-year-old's chilling. But when they walk through the front door, there's the mother-in-law, sitting in the living room, fuming, lights on, arms crossed, full-on anger mode. She immediately starts ripping into them about what time it is, how their 16-year-old shouldn't be up this late, how disrespectful it is that they didn't tell her where they were or when they'd be home. And when she left, she slammed the door at 3 in the morning. The next day, she's still going, claiming she was just worried that they should have communicated better because all she knew was hiking and dinner, not partying until dawn. But here's the thing, she was never asked to babysit. She was asked to drop off food. That's it. The kids are 16 and 12, not toddlers. And OP clarified in the comments that his kids are totally used to this. When mom and dad say, we'll be out late, the 16-year-old knows that means 2 or 3 a.m. It's a normal thing in their house. The son even asked grandma multiple times if she was going to leave, clearly wanting his space back. So let's stress test OP for a second. Is there any world where he's in the wrong here? Well, he did go hiking, and hiking can be dangerous. If something had gone wrong, twisted ankle, got lost, whatever, would anyone have known where to look? Some people in the comments jumped on that, saying he should have at least checked in after the hike to confirm they were safe. And you know what? That's fair. Hiking without updating anyone is a little reckless. But OP confirmed he did text the kids before and after the hike, so that concern, irrelevant. The real question is, did he owe the mother-in-law any explanation? And the answer is a hard no. She inserted herself. She decided to stay. She decided to work herself into a panic and then lash out instead of, calling or texting to ask where they were if she was so worried. The 16-year-old has a phone. The kids weren't stressed. She made this her problem. Now let's talk about why the mother-in-law is acting this unhinged. Because this isn't about worry. This is about control. She's treating two fully grown adults like rebellious teenagers sneaking in past curfew. Why? Probably because deep down, she doesn't trust that OP and his wife are responsible parents. Maybe she thinks the kids are too young to be left alone, even though by 16, most kids are literally babysitting other people's children. Maybe she's one of those people who equates good parenting with constant supervision and never having fun. Or maybe, and this is the kicker, she just wanted to feel needed, stayed longer than necessary, got tired and annoyed, and decided to make it everyone else's fault. But this taps into something way bigger. The expectation that parents, especially mothers, aren't allowed to have lives outside of their kids. That if you're not home by a reasonable hour, you're neglectful. That taking time for yourself, staying out late with friends, living like an actual human being somehow makes you a bad parent. And it's exhausting. OP's kids are fine. They're fed, they're safe, they have phones, they know how to reach their parents. But because the mother in law decided to clutch her pearls and sit in judgment, now OP is second guessing himself. And speaking of judgment, let's hit the comments because they are wild. The top comment is rock solid. There's a few things here. One, you asked if she could feed the children, not babysit. Two, she's perfectly capable of calling or texting you if she's so worried. Three, her assumptions about how long you should be out are her problem, not yours. Four, she wants to shame you. Literally. She sat there for hours, stewing, waiting to ambush them the second they walked in. That's not concern. That's a power move. But then there's this absolute clown take buried in the comments. You should have called your kids to tell them you'd be out late and check in since they weren't supposed to have a babysitter. 3 a.m. is way too late to be out without informing the children. And the replies demolished this person. Someone said, "Where does it say they didn't talk to or text their children? The kids weren't worried or upset. This is a non-issue." Exactly. People just invented a problem to blame OP for. The rebuttal that really nailed it: the kids being used to their parents being out until 3 a.m. is not the flex you think it is. And someone clapped back hard. Oh, so parents aren't allowed to have social lives? A 16-year-old can handle being home alone. This is normal. Stop pearl clutching. Boom. Roasted. Here's my final verdict. OP is 100% not the a-hole. The mother-in-law massively overstepped, threw a tantrum, and tried to guilt trip two adults for having friends and staying out late. Wild. But let's talk strategy. If I were OP, I'd send the mother-in-law this text. Word for word. We appreciate you dropping off dinner for the kids. However, we did not ask you to stay, and we do not owe you updates on our whereabouts. The kids knew we'd be out late. They were safe. They had our numbers. Your decision to wait up and then berate us in our own home was inappropriate. Going forward, we'll handle the kids' meals ourselves. Thanks. That's the high road. But if OP wants to choose violence, he could say, next time you're worried, try calling instead of sitting in the dark like a villain waiting to ambush us. We're adults. Act like one. Then block her number for a week. So what would you do? Would you apologize to keep the peace? Tell her to back off? Or just never involve her again and let her stew in her own drama? Drop your thoughts below and smash that subscribe button because we're just getting started with the chaos.